And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there that listens to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do whatever you can to support us right there at Lakerholics.com. Of course, the great folks at LakersBall.com, where you can go ahead and catch Ox 1947 today at LakersBall.com. That's right there. And even Sean Grice every now and then, wherever he hangs out, LakersBall.com, Lakerholics.com, or right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Plus our good friends at the Hoopheads Podcast Network. And if you support all of that, please subscribe today. We're almost at 250 subscribers. We're getting closer to that magical 1,000 mark. We're doing better and better there. We truly appreciate you supporting us. And if you can do all that, plus follow us everywhere you can, plus listen to all the episodes you can, plus watch all the episodes you can, it is sincerely appreciated. Well, the Lakers, I think, still have one more game at least to go on Friday. That's coming up. We'll go ahead and talk about that on our Sunday show to, as they wrap up the Vegas Summer League here. And things are looking okay for the Lakers right now, summer-wise, but no real news on the front when it concerns Kyrie Irving. In fact, Kyrie Irving has been rumored to say he might want to stay in Brooklyn. Those are the latest rumors, and I know that Lakers fans didn't want to hear that. I know that Lakers fans are also trying to think maybe we can get something out of Utah, because Utah looks to be now fielding offers for everyone that's on the roster, including players like Jordan Clarkson, Bojan Bogdanovic, maybe even Patrick Beverly. We'll see. Patrick Beverly, a Laker? He was once a Laker a long time ago, so we'll talk about that maybe in a bit as well, see if that's an option. But the main thing is right now, as of now, we got to go ahead and see Ruts there in black and white. We can't go be dreaming about Kyrie Irving. I know Laker Tom has been on the website, Lakerholics.com, with his fantastical ideas in regards to who the Lakers may or may not get as a sure thing. And I love his optimism as always, but you know what? Rob Pelinka hasn't done a master class as of yet. So right now we still have what we have as far as our team is concerned. He did go on ESPN and say Anthony Davis is training better than he has in his entire life. Maybe that stems from the comments that he made that he didn't touch a ball for 2 months. But now he's training like he really means it, which is a good thing for Lakers fans. LeBron, his comments in social media as of late weren't always taken in the best of fashions, but I know his heart meant well as far as getting Brittany Griner back home, and we wish the best for her, and we hope that she'll come home from what she's going through, and I hope she's coming home to the U.S. pretty soon. Yeah, very soon, I'm hoping, each and every day. I know a lot of other Americans are as well. In fact, all of us as a country are hoping for her safe and quick return. I know LeBron's comments weren't exactly said, and I guess they were misconstrued or perceived in a different fashion than probably when what he said he actually meant. So he had to backtrack a little bit on that. So maybe he didn't have the best week ever. But you know what? Outside of that, it's still the same roster pretty much. Outside of the new additions, a little bit younger, maybe not quite as talented as we hope, but with the talent that's there, the talent that we hear so much about from Darvin Ham on all these interviews that he's had, and all of the interviews that Rob Pelinka's had over the course of Summer League, saying that the Lakers, with the roster that they have now, can compete very highly in the Western Conference. So the question I have for the guys and the crew that's here at Lakers Fast Break is the roster we have now, can that compete in the Western Conference? Can it compete for a world championship? That's the subject today for the most part. We'll also talk about Max Christie getting signed to a 2-year contract. Was that the right move as well by Mr. Masterclass, Rob Pelinka? We'll go ahead and talk about that as well. But first, guys, it is the roster as it stands right now. We don't have Patrick Beverly as of yet. We don't have Kyrie Irving as of yet. Jordan Clarkson, we don't have him coming back. We don't have anybody outside of who he signed as far as in free agency. Lonnie Walker IV, and also as well JTA, Juan Toscano Anderson, Damian Jones, Thomas Bryant. Everybody knows on the show who we've talked about signing already. But as I bring it over to my good friend, Mr. Joe Soro from LakersBall.com, please go ahead and catch him today as Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. I ask you, my friend, the way it stands now on paper, how well do you think the Lakers will compete in the Western Conference? And can they compete for a title with, provided that they're healthy and stay healthy, can this team go all the way to a winning championship run? Okay. You can say it. It's okay. Let it out. It's okay.
I was going back and forth on whether I wanted to harpoon the show today. Because what I really...
You can harpoon all you like.
Oh, boy. What a week.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
I already thought the LeBron comment backtrack, which is pretty much a monthly occurrence, was already in my crawl. And then this nonsense about Patrick Beverly coming to LA, which I don't even know are they trying to, is Rob trying to assemble the most hated Laker team in the history of sports?
Well, he was a second-round draft pick by the team.
I don't care if he was a first overall draft pick. I don't want that guy in a Laker uniform. This is not a Matt Barnes situation. This is not a Karl Malone situation. I don't want that guy anywhere near.
Well, let me ask you this, Joe. Let me ask you this. I mean, I apologize for interrupting. I just wanted to ask real quick because, the Lakers made such an emphasis on youth, getting young players in, that can go ahead and they think make a difference. I don't know if they can. We'll have to wait and see because on many of those teams that they've already played on, they didn't make a difference on those teams. But maybe with a fresh new change of scenery, maybe some of these young kids or younger players can do so. Then the Lakers go ahead and have these rumors about Patrick Beverly, an older player on the downside of his career, can play a little bit of defense for you, can hit some shots from the side on the three-pointer, but he is an older player similar to what we got last year. Kind of sends mixed signals to me.
It's not a mixed signal because you do need some veterans sometimes. I get that, but I don't want that one. That one should never be considered anywhere near that place. I don't want. I'm tired of these guys. I'm tired. I'm tired of Russell Westbrook. I'm tired of Kyrie Irving's. I'm tired of just LeBron James at this point. And maybe I'll get over it in a few weeks here, but I'm as tired with these guys as I've ever been tired of any player on any of my favorite teams. Matter of fact, I think the only player I disliked in my Dodger fandom was Jeff Kent, and that was a long time ago. The Steelers, I don't really remember any player I didn't like or disliked so much where I couldn't watch them play. The Lakers over the last 2 years have become I'm just disenchanted with them. I don't feel like these are my Lakers. Now, I've had guys on Lakers Ball kind of slap me into reality like, bro, this is not, you got to kind of get over it. And I understand that part, that I have to kind of maybe get in with the times, but I don't think it's that either. I just think it's the constant nonsense of just gutter trash comments, a representation of a fandom that we just don't identify with. And this was something that started 4 years ago. The moment LeBron James stepped foot as a Laker, they were trying to paint murals, and everybody and people in LA were like, wait a minute, what are you doing? And, doing their thing with it. And it's not just a recent thing. This is something that's been even way before he was a Laker, and it just keeps building and keep building and keep building. And I'm at the point right now. I almost want. This is what I said on Lakers Ball. I don't think Rob and Jeannie should wilt under the pressure. I think they should play this out. Don't wilt. And if you have to go in the next season with this roster, so be it. At least we'll know in 6 months to 7 months, however long it is, we can at least get rid of some of the problems, and then we can get back to watching basketball again and enjoying the Lakers and enjoying and actually supporting our players and being happy that they're here. And that's just I mean I'm really struggling to really say what I want to say right now, but I just don't. Again, I don't want to harpoon it. I don't want to harpoon it. There's absolutely not. This current roster is going to flame out. Darvin Ham, God bless you. I hope you can add a few wins here. But if you actually think you're going to be able to teach Russell Westbrook how to take accountability and make layups a year after he was terrible with it, I don't know how you'd be the coach of the year for me if you can do that.
I'm just going to say this, my friend. I appreciate your comments as always on this, subject. And I know I had to hit you hard up with this, but I'm just going to say I think the Lakers, if they were to stay healthy with their current roster, it's not a championship team. It's not a championship team, but it is a team that I think could win 47 to 50 wins. I think in its current status, maybe even get in the low 50s if you have AD playing at that level that we think where we'd like to see him play. If it's bubble AD, you get for 70 games. If it's LeBron, even last year, LeBron leading the league in scoring, playing like that for 70 games, even though he did not play defense last year. Let's be honest with that. I mean, even if you get that for 70 games, and then you get Russell Westbrook to hopefully not, like you talked about, harpooning the team, if you get that for 75 games, but you get some type of consistent contribution from Kendrick Nunn, maybe even THT, Austin Reeves, who people are saying maybe should start thinking about starting.
There's way too many ifs here.
Way too many ifs. It's maybe building, 47, 50
it's
games.
It's building every day. Every day it's another if and another if. We might as well put the Lakers in the NFL and hope that they can play football at this point. I don't know what.
Well, LeBron can play tight end.
I don't know.
He looked like I thought he could be a really good receiver.
I want to like my favorite team's players again. I want to like them. I've liked them, other than a few here and there in the past. It's getting worse, and it's gonna be hard to watch. I'm still gonna watch, but it's like pulling teeth. It's like pulling teeth now at this point, and we're not even close to the season starting, and it makes me look like I'm some psycho crazy boomer when I'm not. I'm sitting here minding my business, hoping that there's a trade that's going to make the team better, and I'm hearing these just pathetic garbage comments.
He got so mad
or
he
ideas.
Accidentally got himself off the air. You still with us, Joe?
I'm still here.
Okay, you. I guess you got so mad there you shorted yourself up. It sounded like you're about to say pathetic rumors, something like that.
Rumors are one thing, but the fact that people are actually considering bringing in a Patrick Beverly, the fact that we're talking about that is like I don't know. My brain is shutting down, and I think it's doing it to my. I'm turning into Shocker. I'm messing up my computer here. I don't know where
good right now.
I can't say what I want to say. I don't want these guys on my team anymore. I want guys that are going to represent. I'd rather watch the rookies. I'd rather watch, and I said this on Lakers Ball. I wrote it, and I got a lot of support because people know me on there. They know I was holding back. I said there was a time when I watched Sedell Threet, I watched Terry Teagle, I watched all those guys, and Dickie V, Vlade Divac. I watched all those guys play. We knew they weren't a championship team, but we respected them. We enjoyed them. They played with their hearts. Caron Butler in 05 and Kobe and Lamar and these guys in that little middle stage where they weren't going to be a championship contender. They played their hearts out. They represented the team at least. And then you got these freaking guys who are just it's infuriating. It's not worth it anymore. It's not worth it anymore to support brainless activity. I'm over it. I'm over it. I just want to watch the damn team play, and I have to hear this nonsense. If I want to watch TMZ or anything on a news station, I go watch it. I want to watch the Lakers, and I want to watch sports, and I don't want to watch a bunch of clowns talking. I'm over it. I'm done.
Okay, well, he's done, all right, but no, he's done for now. But I'm putting him here in the corner.
Sean, please take over the next 10 minutes. I got to cool down a little bit.
All right, Joe, I got you.
Before
man.
before the EMTs come, which you know all too well about.
No, I'm wired for this, guys.
Okay, well, Sean is, he can't get. He's in Canada, so he can't provide you that emergency service to help you where you're at, my friend.
I enjoy Sean's commentary. I'm gonna probably calm down because I'm gonna be able to listen to good commentary, so I'm good.
Fair enough. And also here today is the Magic Man, the Madman from Toronto. I always like to say it is Sean Grice. Sean, great to have you here, my friend. You heard the question that I posed to Joe before I gave him a heart attack. With the current roster they have now, again, like I said, I would not have any aspirations for a title with this team as it's currently structured. If they made no other changes, if they made no other additions, I don't think it's actually any respectable at all to say that, okay, yeah, it's just they're going to go ahead to a championship, because they just, even if you got them all three at full health, I don't think they would have the depth that you need to go ahead and be able to compete with the top four teams right now, maybe in the Western Conference, maybe in the NBA overall. I just think right now 50 games would probably be the max that they could do, and maybe a second round exit with the team currently structured as it is. I think that would be a ceiling for me. But if that were the case, where would you see the Lakers going if this is the team we've got and this is the team that we're going to get come this fall?
It's interesting, Gerald. I can't really argue or dispute it. It looks as though, like, with the roster we currently, looks as though maybe the low end is, around 35, and like you said, the high end is like anywhere from 45 to 49, right? Where, like, if we were in the Western Conference right now and we'd fall somewhere between, I think, 6 and 10, depending on Lakers' health and some chemistry that can be LeBron and AD. I mean, that's the high point. The low point is that this team and athletic, that AD plays sub 50 games, LeBron plays sub 60 games, and the Lakers end up sort of a bigger mess than we were last year based on the results.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, it's hard to do, but it's it's one of the possibilities. I mean, when you go into season like this, there is a nuclear option, unfortunately, because of bad chemistry. I mean, hell, because of outliers. You remember what the Golden State Warriors had to do with Latrell Sprewell? My goodness. I mean, there are things that just happen all of a sudden that a problem. And this year that could develop again, Gerald. But as far as a championship roster, we're Fugazi, right? Fugazi championship roster. We don't have the chops for it yet. Two guys who are really good when they're healthy, and then we've got it's and the lower you go down on the pecking order, it gets there is some meat there, but really any injury hit our guards were toast. Any injuries to the forward position, we don't really have outside of LeBron and outside of outside of Troy Brown, there's not really a guy there who independently rely on to score. I mean, I'm even counting Kendrick Nunn. He did have these spurts of great offensive prowess. With the injury history is just such a concern right now that there's a big old question mark this season. If we had Miles Turner and or Buddy Hield and or Jordan Clarkson, that would be minded team. If you swap Patrick Beverly, as people are saying, look, Patrick Beverly isn't my cup of tea either. I think Westbrook in a way that Patrick Beverly has a reputation as a pesky defender, but being a pest and being pesky makes you good. It just means you play defense with a certain attitude, and to me that's partly true. I think he does. He a defensive scheme that Darvin Ham could work with, Brooke. That's for sure. But I mean, again, we're splitting hairs because these moves aren't really meant to. Everything is so quiet, and to me, it got to Sunday, which I believe is the end of the summer league.
Yes.
By then, if the Lakers hadn't made a deal by then, I kind of figured going into the season with. I mean, to me, that's just logical. If you league in middle of July and you're still in, like, unless there's a James, I mean that happened just after training camp started. But the has said in an earlier podcast, Pelinka's not one to make those kind of moves.
Well, he's going to have to consider making those kind of moves because if he doesn't do more, there's a good chance that LeBron won't be signing that extension. And if that's the case, it could be a very interesting season for a lot of reasons. I know Joe would be happy about that, but if that's the case, then the Lakers will probably have to go ahead and blow things up. I think if LeBron does not sign that extension coming up in August, I think we need to go the way of Utah. I really am just biting my tongue when I'm saying this, but I really hate to say this, but I think Danny Ainge is very smart right now as the way he's going about this business and making everyone available, including Mitchell, including Clarkson, including Bogdanovich, including everyone on the roster to see what assets he can get, because at this time it looks like Utah is going to blow up the ship, and I think rightly so, because they saw that they've hit their ceiling, and that's the best they can do with this current roster. It's time to go ahead and move on before everybody gets old and gets too expensive for that matter. So I really think if they can't sign LeBron to an extension come August, they got to make some hard decisions, and it's going to be a tough season for Lakers fans. But Joe, I know you wanted to go ahead and interject, and then I want to talk to you about what Terrence Harvey said about DeAndre Ayton's contract as well, that he that got matched by the Suns.
This is blowing it up isn't something I'm seeing unless it's forced, and it would have to be forced by Anthony Davis. I enjoy and love Anthony Davis's game. I think Anthony Davis is extremely appealing in terms of just his overall aura and obviously his play. I would be, if I was Rob, I would sit down with Anthony if it's during the middle of the season next year. Hey man, we want to build a championship team around you. You're still under 30 at this point. And yeah, if LeBron's not there, or if once Westbrook's off the books, hey, we're gonna try to build this thing the way try to build it to go on. Now that could change, and Anthony Davis says, "Well, I don't want to be around something that we're trying to plug in to win a championship." I want to leave. Okay, I guess you can accommodate that, and you'll probably get a pretty good return on that. But I think the Lakers should push to go into the Anthony Davis era now. And I think Anthony Davis is capable when he's healthy. And we're gonna give that a shot here. I think that's the one hope that we have to accommodate to, because he's still in his prime, he's still young, and there have been plenty of big guys that have come back from injury-riddled seasons, and let's see if that happens. I'm not giving you all bad news here. I think we have some good news in that we do have a star, a very big star who's still got some things to accomplish. He's won a championship. I would like to think that he's like, well, why would I go somewhere else? I've won a championship here. I'm already building my legacy here. Okay, we kind of already knew LeBron was going to peace out before anyways. So if we can peace out a little earlier, that's just another way for us to start building up a little earlier. And let's see if we can build it for the next year or two and then get back into championship contention. This is the Lakers. I'm sure there's going to be some players that are going to demand to come to LA if they've got a healthy Anthony Davis. I think this is a good thing at this point, because I'm tired of the bad. Sometimes you have to start really thinking about this. Goes in life. I for about 2 weeks was like, when is this thing going to happen? When is this thing going to happen? I'm ready to go with it. Let's go. Then all of a sudden, the energy starts to go away. And then it might be one last kind of pull that just finally takes you to that part where I think the owner of the Nets got to about a month ago and said, look, I'm done with this. I'm willing to just get rid of this problem, even if it means I'm going to lose my biggest asset. Because at some point, life is too short. I'm not going to sit around and worry about these guys who are constantly destroying everything around you from a sporting standpoint, from a culture standpoint, from a winning standpoint. You're not winning with all this BS. I would deal with this if we were winning, but we're not. And we're not only not winning, we're sucking. We're stinking.
Tell us how you
and
really
we're
feel.
losing money because the Brooklyn Nets lost somewhere between 50 to 100 million in 2021. So a lot of this BS, he's losing money on the business end. Sucks too, Joe.
Yes, and that's true. Typically, it was like this for years. I know the TV contracts have changed this in many of the sports, and I know that there's better money management because the owners back in the day were not very good at business. I remember Art Modell. Right. He moved the Browns to Baltimore because he was just terrible. That's the boomer. That's the guy that didn't know how to adjust to the new culture of things, as people have a problem do all the time. Yep. So now, if I'm going to spend, and this is where Jeannie has some legitimacy, because she had the fourth highest payroll and had arguably, to some, not me, it was the worst Lakers season ever in 31 years that I've been watching the Lakers. So, of course, not only did you lose, I don't know if Jeannie lost, I don't think Jeannie lost money, but the owner of the Nets lost money. And now he's just like, I'm not going to go through this crybabies everywhere, losing money, and it's not stopping. No, we're done. I'm ending this. I'm going to go another route. And I'm at that point. And maybe it's a little easier for me to say this because I've watched my team win 6 championships in the last 31 years. So I have a little bit of, I have as a fan, I've watched enough winning to at least be a little bit patient in getting out of this rut that we're in. And the rut is players who don't give 2 bleeps about who they're working for. None. And it's one thing if the ownership was treating you like garbage, but they're not. They're accommodating every freaking thing you've wanted, and you still aren't doing jack to return. We don't need you. We were winning championships before you got there. You won one when you were here, but we were winning championships before, and we'll win freaking championships after you're gone. You don't want to appreciate it? Get out.
It reminds me of that old Branch Rickey story when he it was before the Dodgers, but he was running a ball club, and his best hitter was a free agent, and going to let you go. And he said, "But I hit the most home runs for you. You have to resign me. Finish in last place, even if I didn't have you. So why do I need you?"
Well, again, something to think about.
Yeah, it's a similar philosophy to what Joe was saying. It's like honestly though, I mean, from a business from you gentlemen, is there any return on the investment for these two players? What do they have to show for it? The Nets.
Well, I've said this, and I'll just leave it this. You know, I know that I want to get to Terrence Harvey's question here ASAP.
Yep.
It's the fact that the Lakers are now on the downside of this Anthony Davis trade. They're now seeing the downside and feeling the effects of the residuals of this Anthony Davis trade. Got us a championship. And again, if you spoke to 29 other teams and you asked them, hey, if you wanted to do this deal and you knew it would get you one championship, but you would be feeling it on the backside, would you do it? I'm sure if you ask those 29 other teams, they'd say the same thing as we go ahead and pull the trigger on that deal. It got us a championship. The fact is you don't have the residual, assets to go ahead on the backside to go ahead and field a proper team unless you get very creative and have a GM that's at the top of his game. And we don't have a GM at the top.
You will in a year. It is not the downside. I don't believe it's the downside. The downside was created in the last year, let's say, and it's going to have to be another year. We have to get through this next 9 months without killing ourselves. Then you can get back to normal life. It's become this. It's become the '95 Super Bowl for the Cowboys. It's the only analogy I can use to keep it within a sport topic. I'm not going to use anything other than a sports topic. We Jerry Jonesed it. Okay, Jerry Jones got a big head, winning a championship after he jettisoned Jimmy Johnson because he was crying about how he didn't get credit for building that team, and that Super Bowl ended up cursing his team for the next 3 decades. This championship in 2020 almost made me feel like, just for a hint, I got a little bit of a hint where I was like, man, was it really worth winning that title to go through this and deal with this? To have a sport, an athlete, a team, whatever, to make just the thought of you're thinking about your team makes you sick. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm playing maybe not tennis. I'm playing racquetball with it.
Well,
it's tiring. It's exhausting trying to support someone who doesn't give a crap about your team, and they're at the forefront.
And I know every team has 1 or 2 contracts that are not exactly the greatest maneuvers in the world. I mean, there's 1 or 2 contracts that each and every team wants to move. But seemingly with the Lakers, there's always, in the past decade, like the Timofey Mozgov, now Luol Deng, which is finally off the books.
Okay, let me finish. Let me say something with that. Almost every contract up until now was a marginal player. It was Luke Walton. It was Mozgov. It was Deng. It was a role player, non-factoring player.
Well, that's what I was going to get to.
Not a star and a star.
Well, that's what
completely butchered your salary, your cap to the point where you have to not only eat all that, and not have any chance of improving, but they're leaving landmines on top of everything.
Well, that's what I was getting to, and I know Rob Oliver mentioned it, and thank you so much for chatting in the comments there in regards to once Westbrook's off the books, Lakers will be in a better position. Yeah, I mean, if you're stuck with him for the entire year and he comes off the books, that's $47 million coming off the books. I mean, obviously that's going to put the Lakers in a better position and hopefully a better free agent year and hopefully a better year that they can go ahead and be more apt to do some type of deals to build for next season. But as Laker Tom always tries to go ahead and let everybody know, with LeBron, the whatever pending in regards to his extension, with the clock ticking on LeBron, you want to go ahead and make every year you can the best you can. But it seemingly is going to be hard for the Lakers to do that this season. But we're still holding out hope. We'll still hope that the Kyrie Irving or some other commensurate trade can get done, that we can go ahead and find ourselves in a better position to match up against the best of the best in the Western and also the NBA conference as well. But before we head on out, guys, I want to go ahead and mention again what Terrence Harvey asked about, DeAndre Ayton, who signed was an offer match from Indiana for 4 years, $133 million that got matched very quickly by the Phoenix Suns. Rob's asking, can they get Kyrie? Do they have a serious shot? Well, the offer's there. I don't know, unless they give, if maybe Rob's holding back a pick or maybe Rob's holding back some type of asset that the Brooklyn Nets want, or maybe the Brooklyn Nets want to go ahead and have get out and seek out a third team to get something even, make it spice the actual pot even more, Rob. But again, obviously, whatever the Lakers have offered so far, it hasn't gotten the job done. So I'm hoping that they can go ahead and finally come somewhere in the middle on it. But then again, Kyrie's been talking about wanting to stay with the Brooklyn Nets. So, Mr. DC Fitted, what's up, family? Great to have you here. Ray Joe, this is a big year for AD. If AD does not show up this year, man, I don't think that he could ever be a number one option for a championship team. Joe still sees a lot of promise in him. He's got to stay healthy. The first thing is you got to stay healthy, or then all bets are off on that. But I wanted to talk real quickly about that, Joe. I think now what this does for the Suns, since they matched, this puts them in the hard cap, if I'm not mistaken. This puts them above the salary cap. That's for sure. I think at least 15 million,
Mhm.
15 million above the salary cap.
Above.
Yeah. So, unless you're going to do some more salary cap gymnastics, which means you're going to have to get rid of some of your quality depth on your roster, that's going to sting the Phoenix Suns a little bit more. They've already had some departures this summer in JaVale McGee and, Jalen Smith. I know he left to Indiana earlier as far as part of a trade, but he's now developing into, quite a player in Indiana and actually could start on that team next season. So we'll see what happens there. But I really think that this is going to be something that the Lakers could, be eyeing themselves on, as far as Phoenix maybe doing a little bit of implosion and maybe not looking as good as they once were in the past couple seasons. So maybe they could, if all things worked out well. And again, Joe, I'm using the if thing, could be something that they could be looking forward to, hopping above them. But then you've got the Clippers. If the Clippers are healthy, they're loaded. If you got Memphis, they're loaded. Golden State, they're Golden State. So there's a lot of teams in the Western Conference that the Lakers have to be going ahead and compete with, that it's going to make it hard for them to go ahead and advance with their current roster. Mr. DC Fitted says, not even health, AD doesn't even show the passion and desire at times. Well, I'm hoping that Rob Pelinka's thoughts, and words about how committed AD is supposedly is right now, in some of the best shape of his life, been working out. Maybe that's changing a tune, and maybe now realizing he's closing in on the big 3-0, realizes now that he has to go ahead and perform at a level that we saw for a very short period of time in the bubble. So I'm hoping that that will be the case. I understand that his motivations, not just by you, but I've heard it from other people that have put it in question, along with the ability to stay healthy. But I really think that if this is true, what Rob is saying, Rob Pelinka, GM of the Lakers, about how committed he supposedly is this summer to getting in shape, to being in the best shape of his life, to hopefully being able to hit a consistent jump shot again like he did in the past, because he certainly didn't do it last season, then hopefully that'll make a better turn for the Lakers, whoever they put alongside him. And I know that that will make Joe a lot, happier, and also for the future of the team, maybe eyeing him as a better option. I know that questioned by Ray Joe as far as him being a number one option. That's again much in question in regards to his health and his attitude going forward. But if that changes to a better season, that could change as far as the outlook we have on him as an individual as well. So I'm hoping that. Jay Young says, makes you wonder why AD and LeBron took max contracts, knowing they had to build a max contract. Not hating there on the dollars, but I it's a question. Do you take the money, or do you like James Harden, who takes $15 million less so that Philadelphia can make some key acquisitions? Do you take a little bit less? I think Brooklyn with Kyrie and Kevin Durant made a sacrifice to bring in DeAndre Jordan of all people. Saw how that worked out. That was money well spent. But anyways, I want to go ahead and say thank you to everybody watching and listening. This is the Lakers Fast Break. It's Joe Soro, the Magic Man, Sean Grice, and me, Gerald Glassford, right here for you. Before we head on out, I did want to mention something that kind of has had people kind of a little bit up in arms in regards to the second round draft pick, Max Christie, who has not performed quite what people were hoping for. Still a young kid, 19 years old, a lot of work ahead of him. He still needs to develop quite a bit. Pretty good on the defensive end, but still needs to get stronger. And of course, he needs to find his outside shot. I really think that he needs a lot of time to develop. I've said on the show already that I think it's going to be 2-3 years before you see the returns on your investment. So I know myself and a couple other people were puzzled when the Lakers only signed Max Christie to a 2-year contract, when other second round draft picks are being signed to a 3 and sometimes even a 4-year draft pick, 4-year contract, right in that same area where he was drafted for, I think, about $7 million. I think Kennedy Chandler, who was drafted number 38, he was given a 4-year, $7 million contract, only $5 million of which is guaranteed. So that's pennies compared to some of the other big contracts that you're doling out. And you're also banking on his development in the future. The Lakers are only banking on 2 years right now of what we see with Max Christie. And in order to go ahead and continue extensions, it's now going to have to do it at a higher rate if they want to go ahead and extend his contract down the road. So, Sean, I'm going to lead it with you and then close out with Joe. What are your thoughts on this with Max Christie? It's a little bit short-sighted, or do you think that this was the right thing to do by Rob Pelinka?
No, I'm in complete and utter agreement with you, Gerald. I think it was by Rob Pelinka. Again, the Taylor Horton Tucker pick was made. If you look back, every single second round pick signed entry level contract in the NBA, except for 2 players. There were 2 players who did deals. One was Bol, who has been traded to own the NBA so far. And the other was THT. Flash forward, Rob makes another pick, and you and me thought it was all right. Gerald said it was a single. He needs some grooming and some development league. So why aren't you signing this guy to a 3 or 4 year contract? If you follow within the rules of the collective bargaining agreement, you can keep a player in the G League for as long. But now since you've only signed Christie to a 2-year deal, you're league for about a year, maybe. If he develops second year, you kind of put yourself with tied your hand to THT. It's Rob and Peter to pay Paul to me, not signing a second round year deal. Let him spend a year in the G League, develop, and then bring him up and bring him along slowly. And if he develops more minutes, one thing we found in the NBA now, it's a brave number. Of the over roughly 42,000 total in the NBA, over a quarter of them were by undrafted players. That's going to keep going up. Same thing with the NFL. The NFL undrafted stars, and sooner or later, it's going to be undrafted stars. It's just bound to happen. It's evolving. And before I send it back to you, Gerald, so send us off. Just a quick comment on the DeAndre Ayton situation. So I always figured Phoenix would eventually screw themselves in the scenario. I thought that maybe if Chris Paul and that Suns team won a ring, they really had a 2-year window. It was last year and this year, and they ended up falling short. And that Robert Sarver is notoriously cheap. Ifs, ands, or buts. He's one of the most notoriously cheap owners. He does not want to pay $15 million in luxury taxes at all. One and only one commandment. 2 is to get him under the salary cap. If he can still field the relatively Western Conference, that's great. But he has one on his itinerary for his management. That's to shed salary. Laker fan, I consider myself lucky to have witnessed 6 ships within the salary cap era. I think that's another feat that the Lakers as an organization should tip their hat to. If the salary cap era existed in the 80s, Lakers rivalry that we did, we wouldn't have the Bulls and the Pistons rivalry. These teams wouldn't be able to afford all these Hall of Fame players. And we're not even seeing Hall of Fame players being decapitating teams. Dre Ayton and Bradley Beal and Kyle Lowry. And these, not superstars, but just pretty good to really good players, your salary cap, and gutting your future.
Big shout out to John, who says, "What's up, Joe? He's just here to see the ox cut off and speak over everyone else." And I said, "Give it time, John. He'll do it." I'm kidding. Joe's been great on the show. Sean, I do want to mention that it's been commented on about the internet in Canada. Maybe there's. I don't want to say there's a joke in there somewhere about the internet in Canada, but we'll just leave it at that. But it's been cutting you off all show, so I just want to make sure to let you know that
Okay.
I'm sure we're going to get things worked out so you're smooth as silk and butter next time when you're on the show. But I appreciate you coming on, Joe. Before we head on out, your thoughts on the Max Christie deal? Again, this kid, you get him in order to go ahead and develop him, and yet you don't provide a contract that's that you think is going to go ahead and stand up with it. I think they should at least give him 3 years. Give him 3 years to go ahead and develop, because the kid's 19 and he needs time. This kid needs a lot of time.
Lakers don't have time.
You're on mute, Joe.
And I don't think they care. I'm unmuted. Am I on?
Yes, we can hear you now. You're speaking over everyone.
I wasn't on. You must.
You're doing justice to John now.
All right, good. I'm not speaking over anyone. Anyways, so I don't. If you need a barometer, look how they treated Caruso, who climbed up the ranks and became a championship player and a folk hero in LA. You want them to care about Max Christie, who already has issues with how he plays and them wondering if he's going to even be effective? I don't really, my mind is not on, unfortunately, it's not on Max. I hope he does well. And his recent history has said that our young players a few have come through. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that other than I hope he proves them wrong. And if he does, that means he's playing well. And that means it's likely going to help the Lakers win.
But that means it's going to cost the Lakers more money than they would have had to pony up in the first place.
I don't think money should ever be a problem for the Lakers. I know it is. Let them deal with it. We're the fans. We just want a good product on there. And when your team is worth $5 to $6 billion, and you're arguably the number 3 team in the entire planet in terms of popularity, I think you should be able to find a way to deal with the money problems down the road. That's just my thing. I might be wrong, but we've seen our ownership do some much dumber things in the last year. I think I don't look at this as anything worse, to be honest with you. I just don't have any feeling for it. I'm ready to get some kind of closure on what's going to happen for the 2022-2023 season. My feeling is I just want to rip the Band-Aid off at this point and get on with our Laker life. I didn't go through this kind of crap when I was in high school, and watching these grown adults act like complete children is nauseating, and I'm tired of it.
John is saying that Jeannie is clipping coupons as we speak, so thought that was good. Thought that was a good
John might not be far out of that without being a little, excessive, but there are 2 things that have happened in the last year or so that point to that and give some merit to just shoddy decision making, and it's not really the on-court. It's not the on-court decisions. The on-court decisions, I will say, okay, you guys made a mistake. You guys acquired players or signed players that didn't work out. That happens. But the 2 things that have made me question your ethics, we've talked about this, and the Lakers taking out a PPP loan and then having Jerry West season tickets revoked. Really? Those don't go away. That hasn't gone away from me.
Neither
that has
myself.
not gotten away from me. Every time the thing that kind of curses a human being is the gift and the curse of rationalization. We all do it. And you get into this, well, maybe something happened where they needed to. But then there's this part of me over here where it's like, Joe, that's complete BS, right? I know you know this. You know this. Come on. You really want to support this? Like, that's been going on a lot lately. A lot. And I was around when Jerry Buss wasn't supplying Kobe with a championship team. I was around when the Lakers were in a transitionary period after Magic Johnson retired. I was around that, and I never felt ever that there was this unethical thing going on. It was just bad business management, bad acquisitions, not focusing on what really needs to get done from a roster standpoint. That's sports. You can compartmentalize that. You don't have to take it away and have it mess up your idea of what these people are. I know that we're not always cheering for angels. I get that. That's life. Not everyone's perfect. But this situation's a little bit more of, wow, this is where you've gone. This is what you're willing to relegate yourself to. And it's just dirty. I don't like it. And Max Christie, Caruso, KCP, Kuzma, this isn't the first time they've looked at guys and said, that you wish they didn't do it to.
Joe, there's a story I always tell myself now, and I call it the richest, poorest team in the. I mean by that, there's a huge. I think it's just off of Wilshire Boulevard, and it's in Lakers color, and it's a slip and fall lawyer called Jacob, and Jacob Armani has been associated with the Lakers for 25 years. Anybody?
No,
No?
all
Okay.
you, my friend.
He's been associated with the team for 25 years, but it's just like Joe said, it's like with the PPP thing, they're allowing a person to basically use the team colors and be associated with the team for an organization that signed a $1 billion TV. And I always thought of us as a classy organization. That's what I thought. But like Joe said, what Joe said about the PPP, and then story about associations with certain organizations. Like Joe said, it's sort of a stain. It's a stain on your fandom.
And it's trickled down. It's trickling down nonstop, and it's going to eventually get to this, what's turned into this, what I call high-class trash. It's starting to infiltrate that. There's a lot of Kardashian-type aura about what's going on, and I freaking can't stand it. I cannot stand it. I've had this argument with my own sister about, well, Joe, it's a business decision. They're making money. I'm like, I don't care how much money they're making. They're trash. I don't care. Okay? I don't want it. I don't want to see it. I'm not going to support it. So you go support it. It's trash. I don't care however you want to rationalize it. To me, it's trash. And it's constant. It's a constant thing that's going on, and it keeps getting worse. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're LeBron James, Russell Westbrook. To me, if you're going to portray this non-accountable, just nonsense crap that gives no indication of any support, then why would I support you? Why would I support you? I'm not the one outside trying to get your autograph and bothering you. I'm just talking about my team. I'm talking about my team. Okay, I'm talking about basketball. Everything else gets put into it, and then I got to react to it. It's not that. Okay, can you focus on what made you a little bit? This is what made you. Okay, this is what made you, and we're here, or at least I am, to watch 48 minutes of basketball 82 times during the regular season, and then hopefully deep into the playoffs. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm tired of it. We're in a public media situation here, and I'm gonna, if we continue to keep building this thing, I'm gonna be very adamant in trying to support players that are trying to do their best, playing a sport, and creating something that's entertaining for us, instead of constantly dealing with this outside distraction nonsense that's screwing everything up.
John made a great point. They've treated Jerry West like crap for, I do consider him the greatest Laker of all time, perspective, and an executive perspective, and from an ambassador's perspective. To send his wife a text that you're canceling their season coming, and I really hope they make amends and Mrs. West.
They didn't have this.
Go ahead, Joe.
I just did what John said I was going to do.
Yep, you did. You did nicely too.
I'm gonna finish this, and I'm gonna mute.
Well, we're gonna
mic.
Close the show out. So
you tell me, how am I supposed to interpret a spineless person to text his wife? They didn't even have the sack to text him, and that would have been bad. Texting him, call him like a man. You guys are all talking about, oh, we're here to support this cause, and we're here to support. Everybody's a supporter, for PR. But when it comes down to when you got to have the intestinal fortitude, or as The Rock used to call it, testicular fortitude, what happens? What happens? You text the wife. Did they text her at 11 o'clock? Because they were like, maybe she'd be asleep. We'll just text it to her and we won't have to deal with it. You're like the Bobs in Office Space where they fire people on Friday so they can avoid the problem, right? Oh, they're going to go out on the weekend. Is that what you were doing? You're spineless cowards. You backtrack what you say whenever you say it all the time. That's what a coward does. You say something, you set the fire, it burns the house, and then you say, oh, wait, I didn't mean to burn the house. You burned the house already. What do you mean? So look what we're talking about. We're trying to get this freaking whatever the hell that's going on in Brooklyn to go forward, but we're talking about stuff because the freaking brainless people that are on the team can't focus on the real stuff. They're talking about stuff outside the court and outside the office. That was as diplomatic. That is as diplomatic as I can get. And I didn't know how I was going to deliver this, but I know it's working because I haven't heard Gerald say anything yet to cut me off.
You know what? John is so pumped right now, he could run through a wall from the motivational speaking.
I'm going to let my friend Sean finish. I'm muting. Bye.
Well, I'm actually going to finish it up because I know Sean's internet has not been the greatest tonight, but I do appreciate Sean so much for being on the show. Joe, same thing. Maybe Joe should check into the SmackDown Hotel, speaking of what The Rock can do for you. But before we head on out, I want to go ahead and mention again that we truly appreciate everybody watching on Facebook. Big shout out to you on Facebook. Huge shout out to everyone out there on YouTube. If you've not subscribed already, and I know I'm like the umpteenth thousandth person to go ahead and ask for you to subscribe. But if you can, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. We're trying to get to at least 1,000, if not more. We're trying to get to the big guys. We're trying to get to Trevor Lanes of Laker Nation and all the other Laker places that you want to go to. We think we're the best Lakers place that you can go to. So if you think the same, please go ahead and subscribe today on YouTube. And if you go ahead and listen to us on audio, please go ahead and give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It is sincerely appreciated if you do. And we thank everybody for watching and listening. We will be back on Sunday, just to let everyone know. And Sunday night, we're going to go ahead and hopefully have another roundtable discussion. John, Howard, Terrence, just you guys been so fantastic. I know I'm missing people. I know you guys, Jay Young, I know you've been terrific as well. Everybody in the chat room, you guys been awesome as always. We truly appreciate everybody watching and listening. If you have any questions for us, always, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com, @LakersFastBreak on Twitter. Also as well, you can go ahead and give us a shout out on YouTube and Facebook. But we truly appreciate you watching and listening. Unless something magical happens, I think our next chat is going to be on Sunday. I know the Lakers play Friday, so you want to check that out, I believe, on ESPN2 right there for you. They're going to be playing on Friday night, so go ahead and check that out in what may be their final game of the Las Vegas Summer League session. So we'll go ahead and talk about the overall effects and the pluses and minuses of the Lakers Summer League team on Sunday. But we do want to thank you so much for watching and listening. John, you've been great as well on the chat room. Thank you so much. You're running through that wall just for Joe. All right, there you go. And Magic Man, Howard Hill, thank you so much again for watching and listening. Thanks so much for everybody taking some time out of your day to join us again. And we'll be here on Sunday night, right back at you, talking some more Laker stuff going on in the world of Lakerland right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.